I want to know what do you think about this. Sometimes we have to route a groove and we often use some kind of fence. But when I do this, some of you comment that I should put the straight edge of the router against the fence, so I should route the groove like this. But if I put the curved edge of the base against the fence, as long as I keep the router base against the fence, it doesn't mind if I turn the router, because the router bit will always be at the same distance from the fence. But if I put the straight edge of the base against the fence, and due to any reason the base pinches the fence and turns, here I exaggerate it a lot, the distance from the router bit to the fence changes, and now the router bit will cut a curve instead of a straight groove. Then, if this is the straight groove that I want to cut, while I keep the curved edge of the router base against the fence, I would move the router like this. But if exaggerating this a lot, if I turn the router like this, we can see that the router bit is yet moving straight and parallel to the fence. Now, this would be the groove if I put the straight edge of the base against the fence. And as we can see, it is closer to the fence than in the previous case. And like this, I will also route a straight groove. But if the router base pinches the fence, we see how the router bit describes a curve, and it comes out of the groove that I wanted to cut. So if I am not very careful keeping the straight edge perfect against the fence, the final groove might not be perfectly straight. Also, the straight edge will cause more friction against the fence. Having all this surface rubbing against the fence, it is easier for it to lock against the fence and turn the base. But if I have the curved side against the fence, the base will only rest at one point, so the friction will be less, and it will cost less effort to move the router along the fence. So what do you think about this? Is it better to put the straight edge against the fence, or it is not? What is that straight edge in the base of the router for? Well, let's see the use that I give to that straight edge. In some plunge routers, the cable sticks out from the top, and even if it is not in the top, it can be difficult to put them upside down. If I put it like this, it is not stable. But if I put the straight edge against the tabletop, now it is stable. And it is easier to change the router bit because the spindle lock is in the opposite side. Sometimes the router bit is locked inside the collet. A few taps against the nut should be enough to release the router bit. So I am going to route a groove, keeping the curved side of the base against the fence, while turning the router base very exaggeratedly. We can see that, despite all the turns, I cut a straight groove. Now I repeat, but with the straight edge of the router base against the fence. and I will pinch the base in the end of the groove. Okay, I know that if the fence is here, I should route to the opposite direction. But I didn't want the sawdust to go to the front of the video. I think I could do this in the other end of the work table. This was very exaggerated, but it looks like any little turn of the base is going to mess up the straight groove that we want to cut. So once again, why is that straight edge in the router base? Should I put it against the fence or not? Or maybe it has some other use? Thanks for watching. And if you like my videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to click the bell to get all the notifications when I upload new videos.